Joe was sharing some personal experiences when he was a child, and how he was sort of, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
That just, he was put into residential school, and he didn't like it there, and he ran away from residential school, and he was like 9-10 years old, and he lived on the streets of a small Arctic town.
Yeah,
and
it's about 5,000 people.
yeah, and he had to survive as a child in this environment, and how he didn't go to school, and how he said that his brain doesn't function like a regular person's brain does, because he wasn't put into the education system where he was taught this is how you think and this is how you process information. He naturally had to what is my answer, and he uses his whole brain as he works with spirit and the environment around him, and it's what helped him to survive 3 years of living as a child on as a homeless child. And then when his grandfather came and got him when he was 12 or 13 years old, how he was really mad at his grandfather. It's like, you knew I was living on the street and you never came and got me. Why didn't you do that? And he said, because you needed to learn, you needed to understand. And how when he lived that experience, you can't, it's the experience, the being in it, it's that knowledge is part of who he is. You can never take that away from him. And he would ask, where do I need to go? If I fall asleep, it's 2:00 in the morning. He said he's 10 years old and he's walking around the streets and it's 50 below outside and it's freezing, and he knows if he falls asleep outside, he's going to die. And he's like, I'm so tired. Where can I go? And the voice inside his head says, just keep walking. Turn here. Knock on this door. And he would just do what the voice told him, and they would open the door and they would let him sleep in their house. And it was the same thing with food and all that. So there's this trust and this knowing and that connection that you can also have with Earth Mother, but with your spirit guides as well. They will always support you. And he trusts and believes that he has everything he needs, always has. It's like someone like myself that's okay, well, I need to stock up on rice and beans because trade is going to go south and I'm going to have to need food. And he's like, why are you doing that? The universe is always going to provide for you. I can't help it, because it was the way that I was raised. Totally, I can see the difference.
The thing is you read stories or you hear people who are shamans, and somewhere in your life you get put into the darkness because it's about having faith. It's having a trust in some divine guidance. And even though there's really terrible, scary things you walk through, this unknown, and it's like going through a big canyon and it's dark and you don't know what's around the corner. And you just know there's something there always guiding you. In my grandfather was a medicine man and a shaman, and I knew he would check in on me and things. And he said that the spirit said I had to go through that, and it really taught me how to go inside myself and listen and trust that voice. And as I got older, I had to learn more and more and more to go into that place. And the spirits always came in, and they always told me things, and whatever they told me always came true. Whatever they showed me always came true. So I learned to trust something. There was an invisible world, and whatever went on, I just knew this was something. So when I got home and I was mad at my granddad, and when I was small, he used to do things, and things would happen. I would see all kinds of stuff. He would send me to these old Eskimos and Indians. There's an old lady that talked Dogrib, and I didn't understand Dogrib, but I get really mad when he say, you go see that old lady. And I go in there and she'd be talking in her language, and I'm sitting there and I'm getting frustrated because I cannot understand what she's saying. But then she'd pick up her little shaman thing and she'd start chanting and singing, and it was like a TV would turn on. And all these things would come in, and I would see and hear things. And all of a sudden I would understand her. And anything she was saying, I would understand, and I didn't know how. But I really liked it. I was a kid and I was curious. And so she would do all this stuff. When it was done, she would always give me 5 cents, a cookie, and a can of pop. So I really liked that too. So that was part of the reward. And then there was these old Eskimos and that, and he always would send me to certain people because I was always questioning. And they would do things at first that would really frustrate me because I'm sitting there and it would be really long. And then all of a sudden stuff would happen. And it was like a TV. When we first got TV in I think it was 1974, it was the first time I saw TV. And to all of my community, that was the most amazing thing to see this thing. And it was like snowy and you could barely hear, but everybody's like crammed in this house. And we're like, and it was like magic. I was like, oh, and it was like 1 hour and everybody was like, oh, seeing and hearing these strange people and what they're saying. And where we were connected to the earth and we would fish and all of us would go in the bush and harvest things. It was just everybody was connected to the land. So this opened up a whole different world. So as I was growing up, my granddad always told me I had to learn. He says, you have to learn the white man way. He says, if you're going to survive in the white man way, you have to understand this. And when you understand this, he says, eventually you will come back to the native way. You will understand. And so as I moved through my life, I connected with a lot of elders and a lot of other people who had this connection with the universe. And he says, one day you will understand all of this. He says, right now you're mad. And he says, there's lots of things. You have this hard journey. It's going to be really, really long. But one day you're going to get there and look back and you're going to understand the purpose in it all. So sometimes when I hear people complaining about being here and being there, I could see sometimes your journey. And I'm like, you're in that void, you're in that space of unknown. And the universe is trying to go, okay, trust us. We're giving you a little inkling. We're giving you a little hint here and there. Can you just trust us and move in that direction? And that's part of going into the future because we're going into the unknown. They say the age of Aquarius, they say the fifth dimension, they say all these things, they're all new. To just think and have an orange just manifest in your hand or whatever it is you think you will use this energy. It's a new thing and it's a learning for all of us, and we're all walking into this invisible unknown, but we're trying to control it. You cannot control this. This energy already knows. It already knows who you are. When you're in it, you're going to work with it. It's like breathing. You're just going to be in it. It's like showering. The water does everything. You just trust the water. All these things, they have their own thing. And if you open up your self, you will go into the mystery. You will move through that darkness and you will find yourself in the light.
That was awesome. Thanks.
You can say it's bigger and beautifuler, but the challenge is to not let your mind run away, because your mind will create lots of silly stories. Your mind will do everything to stop you. But if you truly are connected in the Earth Mother and everything, it's going to support you. It's going to do every magical thing. And it's so hard to get this through to people. I can say it 100 million times. And a day or two later, people will go right back into their humanness and they'll start allowing themselves to create millions of different stories. And then you go out of that energy and you feel disconnected. Eventually you go back in alignment. You feel really beautiful and you're in one. You're not commanding, you're not controlling, you're not thinking, oh, this person's going to be miserable, or oh, this person's going to be this. You're going to think only happy, good thoughts, which also helps you to stay up in that higher. It pulls everybody into a certain way. And you carry some kind of light, something that permeates the ethers all around you. So wherever you go, even a person 100 feet, 200 feet away from you, that energy is going to touch them and change them in some way because it's a belief. It's something that's bigger than what we know and understand.